Yo guys, what is up? Welcome back to another Fantasy Premier League live stream. This time we will be talking about Gameweek 24. I am making this stream sort of in place in the usual video that I would make here, but I figured I would simply stream because I'm just now getting around to it, and I didn't want to have the render time and the uploading time and all that. So we'll go ahead and stream, and I'll talk about it essentially comes down to the injuries that have popped up since my last video, and it sort of impacts a lot of people. Let me make sure that I'm live streaming and everything is all good. But yeah, so we got Calvert-Lewin, we got Antonio injured. That's who I have. Ruben Diaz appears to I think he'll be fine. So who else is there? But my main take, I would say, on the players I have, I think Antonio plays. Hey Kobe, hey, how do you pronounce your name? Is it Mateja? Not sure, but it's Tosakovic. How's it going? So Calvert-Lewin is not going to play against Fulham. I expect him to probably make a sub appearance versus Man City. If you have Calvert-Lewin, in my opinion, he's got to be third sub because he's likely to get a 1 or 2 pointer, even if he starts against Man City. Obviously, you're not expecting much there. And with all the good matchups with the doubles and then West Ham defenders, Aston Villa defenders, as I have, you're going to want to start them or put them on your bench ahead of Calvert-Lewin. So in my opinion, if you're going to keep Calvert-Lewin, he's a third sub option. And you're right, William. It is hard to pick bench players. In a way, the Calvert-Lewin injury makes it easier for me. It's not good. Obviously, I was looking forward to the double game week, but I brought Grealish off the bench, and I'm fine. I'm still not planning on making a transfer because Grealish, I'm okay. I mean, look at my starting lineup. I'm okay with it. Now, I personally expect Antonio to start. I'm not certain about this, but from what we've seen from the ex-West Ham United employee, he should be fine. Also, I saw somewhere where his Patreon, somebody leaked his Patreon, which is, that's not a cool thing to do. Don't do that. But it happened, and it was leaked. And in the Patreon, he was saying that he thinks Antonio will start. So that's probably the most convincing piece of evidence I have. It's like XWHU employee on Twitter. So check him out. He's, got all the inside information for West Ham. And, yeah, so I think Antonio should start based on that. If he doesn't, I'm okay with it, though. So, for me personally, I don't have to put too much thought in it. If he plays not at all, I would expect he's kind of in a situation where he could come off the bench. And, in that way, it is kind of a risk considering that I have Target and Soufal on the bench. I would like to play them. I think those are great matchups. Brighton haven't been able to finish lately, and obviously Sheffield United are one of the worst teams over the past, 5 years at least. So I feel like those are good matchups on the bench, and we could be seeing some more bench points from me and other teams as well. So with that said, Target over Antonio, I don't think it's the craziest thing ever, but at the end of the day, Antonio is the attacker who has penalties and a little more upside, I would suggest, than Target. Now, Bamford is an every week starter for me unless it's Man City that they play. I don't plan on benching him really anytime soon. So he just automatically gets in the lineup. He gets that level of treatment. Now, the only transfers I could make, because at the moment I'm just planning on, I don't have 2 free transfers. I don't have to try to be inefficient. I don't have to try to avoid burning a transfer, basically, because that can be viewed as inefficient. So I can simply hold Calvert-Lewin and decide next week. And that's what I'll probably do. I think it makes the most sense. Making transfers this week with my team that has great matchups doesn't really make too much sense unless I was to go after a double game week. So the only real way I would do this, so Soufal, I'm not going to play him this week anyway, right? And then after this, they play Tottenham, Man City, Leeds, Man United, Arsenal, Wolves, Leicester, Newcastle, Chelsea. So it's not great. They don't have any games in hand. They do have a good run after 34, but Soufal out would be the move I'm interested in. Now, this is a move I can simply make in the future. Next week, I will simply plan on doing Soufal to Dallas, and that'll probably be my move, and then as well as Calvert-Lewin out. So that's Soufal to Dallas and Calvert-Lewin to maybe Adams. So I would say that's the plan at the moment. Maybe Ings, take a chance with spending extra money there. I'm not too sold on spending a bunch of money on Southampton. The one issue I have with Adams is I'm worried about rotation for some reason with him. I don't feel like the way he's playing has necessarily nailed on his spot. So that's all. That's really, I don't know. And how high is his upside really? So if I just save the transfer next week, easy. Calvert-Lewin. How far off would I be from getting somebody like Kane? Because that's something I need to take a look at today. So going to Dallas, Sufal to Dallas is going to happen unless I go. What I was going to say is this week I could do Sufal to a Burnley defender. Now we get some immediate payoff off of this, right? We get the single to a double game week, but I feel like targeting next double game week is going to be a little more beneficial, and this is something that I mentioned in my team selection video, because this week, for example, if you do that, now I know Antonio has injury issues, but I think he's going to be fine. You're basically benching somebody like Antonio against Sheffield United for the double game week. Whereas next week we do this, and let's say I'm in the same situation, I'm able to bench Antonio more comfortably against Tottenham. And if I brought in a Burnley defender, who do they play next week? They do play West Brom next week, so it's still viable because they have this good fixture, even though it's not a double next week. So I don't think it's the worst option ever, but I think at the moment I'm still leaning towards simply having those 2 free transfers in hand, and I'm actually pretty close to being able to get Kane. Not too far off. Not sure how I would get the money to do so though next week. I mean, I'm 0.9 off. That's manageable, especially considering I have Rashford here that can easily go pretty soon. I'll probably keep him for game week 25 and then maybe sell. So yeah, maybe Rashford goes and I find a way to bring Kane in soon enough. Kane does look to be obviously a pretty good option. So yeah, I need to look at when they'll exactly get their doubles. I assume game week 26, right? But for now, I don't have to worry about this. As I said, my team personally appears to be pretty fine, right? So next week, bringing in Dallas, bringing in maybe Adams. Watkins is another option I've seen a lot of people talk about. They have 2 games in hand. It makes sense, right? You can trust him a little more than somebody like Adams. But they do play Leicester next week, and the fixtures they're good, but they're not great. 31 and 32, and then towards the end of the season they get tough. But they have 3 games in hand, and I feel like that sort of does make a big difference. But I'm happy to have Grealish at target at the moment. So yeah, a lot of potential ways to go with this. I think it makes the most sense to simply hold off and save the transfer for now. Get 2 going into next week. Avoid any random injuries that may happen, and simply let my team do what they do this week without trying to really make it that much better. So yeah. Wow, Kobe, that sucks. Yeah, transferring DCL early. I mean, I could see myself doing that as well. I don't mind some early transfers myself. I mean, we could easily end up with benches like this right now. Grealish, Watkins, and Cresswell all on the bench. Like, it would look weird if we didn't have the context of, oh, well, there's doubles, and the rest of your team's probably much better. The team looks good, Patty. I'm not exactly sure. I mean, Ings is definitely a hold at the moment. You probably brought him in recently, but I'm not sure. But yeah, I wouldn't say there's any necessary changes. I do think, Ignis, I think that Watkins can outscore Grealish pretty much any game week. Grealish hasn't had the same amount of goal threat that he's had recently. The whole 2 shots in the last 3 games thing isn't great. I've actually considered playing target over him, but I just don't think I can do that with Grealish potentially on penalties, and he's still got his creative ability that's still there with the assists. So I think it's very possible that Watkins could outscore Grealish, yes, but it would be because Watkins scores and Grealish doesn't. Like, it would probably be a case where Grealish may even assist Mr. Watkins, but it is what it is. Be all right. Grealish is still a fine option, but I don't think that Grealish is a lot better than Watkins, actually. So, for sure. Yeah, Dallas in next week is probably going to be a very popular transfer. I think it's one of the best ones. Dallas effectively playing center attacking mid. a lot of times, and he's kind of like the new Lundstrom. I think he's probably a little better player, but that's another discussion. But in terms of FPL, fantastic option, especially at that price. I think Calvert-Lewin will play against Liverpool next week. Yeah, I think he'll be fine. But again, that's not a matchup I'm too excited about. I know it's not terrible, but yeah, I think he will play. Yeah, DCL out. The problem a lot of people are having with it is there's not an obvious replacement, really. That doesn't mean there aren't decent options. I think Watkins is the most reliable one, considering that, he, maybe not week to week. He could be a little unpredictable, but over the course of the season, he's been so good, and Villa have been pretty good for most of the season. You could say they lacked some creativity last game, but it was against Arsenal. But yeah, I mean, Watkins in seems like probably the safest bet. You get Brighton, Leicester, and then you start getting some doubles, probably game week 26 leads. Let's actually pull up Ben Krillin's Twitter, and let's look at some double game weeks here. What are we talking about with Southampton and Aston Villa, especially because these are some big Calvert-Lewin replacement options. But I am glad that Antonio is likely to be fit. Or maybe I shouldn't be, because it would make it so much easier to simply play Target as well. I do really like him for this week. All right, so that's his personal team. Does he have it as header still? No, he doesn't. All right. So Aston Villa, obviously we got the doubles this game week, but Aston Villa is actually likely to get a double next game, or unlikely. Unlikely. It's possible they get a game week next in game week 25, but in game week 26 they will almost certainly get a double game week, and that one will feature Leeds and then Everton or Sheffield United. So those are two good matchups, or two decent matchups at least, I would say. And then after that, basically they've got a lot of doubles coming up, Aston Villa, which is one reason I brought Target and Grealish in a while back, simply for this upcoming stretch that should be pretty good for Villa. And considering their price, it's a pretty good time to double up. Now, looking at Southampton, they're also looking at, they have a confirmed double game week next game week, and that makes it so much easier to bring in, or to take a chance almost. I would consider it taking a chance on Ings, because Ings, his numbers haven't been fantastic. But let me actually go to Yahoo Sports. I need to start using this app more on my phone, but I think I can pull it up here as well. I can just search Yahoo Sports Danny Ings, and we can pull up what he's done recently, just with regards to how many shots he's taken each game. So game log, and you will see, I think he's still taking a decent amount of shots. So that was last game, right? They played South. I just want to make sure I got this right. If it will load. Yes. Okay, so yeah, Southampton played Newcastle, and Southampton lost 3-2. In that game, Danny Ings, he had 4 shots, and that's pretty good. Now, the biggest thing with Ings is he's never really got the biggest chances when we really go back and look at it. He's typically just been a great finisher when he does get the chances. That doesn't mean his expected goals has been incredibly low or anything, but he hasn't been quite. I'm trying to think of a good example of a player that gets plenty of chances. I would say Bamford actually fits that bill a lot of times. He doesn't necessarily get his shots off, though, and it can be frustrating to watch as an owner of Bamford. I felt last game he had a time where I think he thought he was offside. He wasn't. He simply just didn't take the shot. I don't really know what happened to him, but that was a great chance. He was in all alone on the keeper. But anyway, Ings, when he gets his chances, he basically scores them, but he just hasn't been quite at that level recently. So, and then in FA Cup, he took 3 shots and he scored, and that was yesterday. So that's not bad. Obviously, that's pretty good. That's what we want from Ings. Having some confidence is pretty deadly. And before that, he 0 shots against Manchester United. It's not great, but that game was just that obviously the 9-0, you can't really blame any of their players for not doing anything. He had a shot against Villa, shot against Arsenal, 3 shots in the cup. So it's been like pretty below average, but not as bad as it could be with the recent goal and 4 shots and then 3 shots. So maybe we see Ings have a little bit of a return in form, and we can see here. I'm sure it's probably blocked by my face cam, but Southampton play Chelsea and Leeds in Gameweek 25, and after that, they possibly have a double Gameweek 26, and then possibly have a double Gameweek 27, and then maybe very, very could have a double Gameweek 28. So yeah, I would say 3 doubles in a row is probably what is the most likely outcome here for Southampton. That's my personal opinion. So that sounds pretty good. I personally just don't trust Southampton as a team. Let me go back here. So that's the Ings versus Watkins thing. It looks good both ways, and I don't think either way is necessarily a mistake. The one thing that we know for sure is that Danny Ings is the talisman. He will most likely be on penalties. Can he last every single game? He just played on the 11th. When is Southampton's game? And Southampton play Sunday. This isn't perfect for somebody like Danny Ings that gets injured all the time. It really isn't. And that sort of goes back into the reliability of Watkins, who's been the exact opposite, and he's played 90 minutes, I believe, every week. So for a striker too, it's pretty incredible. We don't see that all the time. He's at least started every week, I think, and that's just sort of how Villa have been in general, with a lot of players staying in the team regularly. So yeah, me personally, I'm gonna leave the team as it is. I think Watkins and Ings are probably the front runners. Adams in there as well, and then of course Kane. But that Kane, he will sort of be out of the list simply because so many people won't be able to afford him. But I'll try to see what I could do to bring in Kane. I don't think there's anything great really. Like I think Antonio out. Who do West Ham play? West Ham. Yeah, West Ham don't have any doubles. I think Antonio out may make some sense here soon. If only I had enough money, I could go Antonio to Adams and then Calvert-Lewin to Kane. But I am 0.2 off of that, so that's not ideal. And I'm not sure where that other 0.2 would come from, especially with me doing Sufal to Dallas and taking up another 0.1. So it would probably have to be Rashford out, and at this point we're talking about way too many transfers. By that point, the game week will be gone where I could have made up points. So yeah, Antonio out, that could be interesting as well. That could be something that we go ahead and do, simply because of fixtures, not because he's been terrible, but doesn't have doubles. Also has some tough fixtures in there against Tottenham and Man City in the next 3, so not looking great for him. Southampton play Wolves this week. I'm not too excited. I wouldn't necessarily jump on Ings just yet. Cavani is also another option. West Brom, Newcastle, and then we got the double in 26. I personally won't be going for Cavani. I don't think I could quite take that chance on him, given the fact that we can't trust him to play 90 minutes, and I'd rather have Watkins or Ings, I think. So yeah. I mean, captaincy, I think really I'm just going to have to wait on the Calvert-Lewin decision. Okay, one thing I was going to mention, price rises and price falls. Hold on, let's go back. So William, I think I would, I may bench Rudiger in that situation. So you got Cancelo, Diaz, and Lowton. I may bench Rudiger and play Grealish or Watkins in that situation. So, yeah, I think that's probably what I do, but I see why you played Rudiger, obviously. I would, if I had Sterling, I think I would captain Sterling. And the reason for that is I am slightly worried that I am slightly worried about, because of their injuries, I'm worried that Gundogan may have a little more defensive duties. Not really defensive duties, I shouldn't say, but just when they attack, he'll be a little deeper. I am worried about that. And he could have potentially lost his penalty place after he missed that penalty so horribly. So, yeah. Let's look at Calvert-Lewin's price. Is it projected to drop? I mean, it's going down pretty quickly, but he's still far ways away from it. Dallas will go up tonight. People that should go up tonight are me, Pope, Dallas, Cancelo, Foden, Shaw, and Cresswell. Cavani coming soon. Maybe Soufal and Richarlison and Sterling and Stones, Gundogan, all in the next couple of days, I would say. And Bruno's coming up there too. So some highly owned players. It might actually, just because of the price rise, I would hate to do it just because of a price rise at this point in the season. When there's a lot of injuries and doubles to worry about. But I could go ahead and do Soufal to Dallas just to catch that price rise. And considering I would be likely to do that move in the future anyway, that could be a decent move. So, but I'm not too worried about it. Let's go to the strikers. So we have Ings. I mean, people are bringing him in. He's still a decent way away. Adams, pretty far away from a price rise. And then we have Mr. Watkins. Watkins will probably go up, I don't know, maybe Sunday or Monday if he does well. People transfer him in. So nothing too significant there. It's really going to rush my move of Calvert-Lewin out, I would say. If anything, Dallas in could be the way to go if I really, really want that extra 0.1, which could be the way to go if I really want to get Kane. Speaking, let's go back and look at Tottenham. So Tottenham, they don't have the double in Gameweek 25. Leeds and Southampton have the doubles in Gameweek 25, as well as some very unlikely other ones. But I think it's only going to be Southampton and Leeds that have the double next game week, and that's why we'll be bringing Dallas in. So it will be nice to be able to bring in a Southampton player. Oof. But Tottenham against West Ham isn't bad, and then they go into a very likely double game week, and then a couple after that where they could get one. They'll probably get one. 27, 28. How many games in hand do Tottenham have? Let's find out. But it's also Kane. Like, you're going to get 90 minutes out of him. He's just so reliable. Obviously, you're paying a lot, but you don't quite get this level of reliability in a lot of places. So they have 3 games in hand. So there's a chance. I think there is a chance they get 25 double, 26 double, and 27 double. I think it's possible, but I'm not sure. I don't know if that isn't, maybe 2 is the max because of congestion with the fixtures, but not sure. Either way, 26 would be a pretty good double because it would be Burnley and then Fulham or Southampton. So that's triple captaincy material right there. And Game Week 26 is something I'm looking at for triple captaincy. So I use bench boost. That's the only thing I have. Oh yeah, I have free hit and triple captain. So for me, I think Game Week 26. I've always thought that it's going to be triple captain, simply because I think I'll have, I have 3-Man City. I could still have Calvert-Lewin, potentially. I could still have Calvert-Lewin at that point. Bench him in 25, play him in 26. Burnley, I'll still have my Burnley defender at that point. I'll have Areola. Maybe I could bring him in a Southampton guy. I'll have Leeds, and that's a single game week, so it's not good. I'll have double Aston Villa at least. I'll have Bruno. I don't really have the free hit there. I think triple captaincy is looking more likely. I think I'd save the free hit still. I think that's more likely. So I think 26 triple captain. The options there would be, Grealish, Watkins, those people are in the discussion. Leeds and then Everton / Sheffield United isn't bad. Obviously, there's the Man City guys. Maybe Gundogan, maybe I wouldn't even really say Cancelo or Stones. It's a little bit too rotation risky. And then Tottenham, I'd say those are the main ones. I mean, Bruno as well. Chelsea, Crystal Palace, not bad. Both away, though. He's been pretty good away, as we know. But I think Kane is the way to go. Burnley and then Fulham or Southampton seems like the best bet, as long as Tottenham are creating chances at the time. So, yeah, a lot of triple captaincy options that week. And I think looking at that, I think it makes the most sense for me to try to hold on to Calvert-Lewin. I think holding on to him, it'll be decent. Like, he'll get some returns, but I think selling Antonio is actually a higher priority, even though Antonio is not injured. Oh, well, he could be injured, but how's it going, Blues? It's been pretty good. It's pretty tight for a lot of today because doing sporting activities, played some soccer against an actual team, or played some football against an actual other people as a part of a team for the first time in a year. So that was very tiring. So yeah, 2 leads is enough for 25, and not because, I think leads are great for that week, but I think for a longer term, you don't necessarily have to have leads. They get this one double game week, but then after that, it's decent fixtures and it's okay, and they're a good team. They have cheap assets that can give you a lot of points. I like Bamford, I like Dallas, but after that, you got these teams like Aston Villa. They have 3 games in hand, and you've got teams, there's Everton as well, not the best fixtures, but again, Calvert-Lewin, he's got the Villa and West Brom game in hand with the double. Well, they were going to have the double this week, but Calvert-Lewin doesn't. So you've got teams with like multiple games in hand that you may, after you have Dallas and after game week 25 goes past, you may be like, I kind of wish I had, Target or whoever it may be. But I'm typically a fan over the immediate points rather than long-term points if you really have to decide between the two, because, so many things can change the longer time goes on. So, yeah, I like Dallas and Bamford, but that's probably as far as I would go with leads in terms of long-term stuff. Free hitting would obviously be different. So, yeah, Antonio out. Now, this move... again, this is one I would wait on, I think, because I think I would play him against Sheffield United. I'm pretty happy with that. And he's still going to be a fine option. I would just try to get some doubles in there if I could. And I could go Ings. I really don't want to spend that much money on a Southampton striker. I don't really love it personally. So Ings, 10 goals in 1,300 minutes. It's not terrible. I mean, or 10 attacking returns, sorry. That's not terrible. A lot of those, he had some good form early on, but he scored 1 goal in the past. I don't even want to count that, but that's like 10 games. 1 goal and no assists in the past 10. It doesn't look good. I don't know if I'll be able to trust Southampton enough to bring them in. But we would get the double in game week 25, so that would be very nice. I'll have to think about it. Ings better impress me against Wolves, and that's something that I'll have to look into, but I can't commit to that as of yet. Watkins, I don't know, Watkins, I'm so much more safe. Yeah, but Kane and triple captain is better. Yeah, I think I would agree with that assessment of the Spurs double situation, Blues. I mean, as far as Justin replacements go, I think you are looking at Burnley at the moment. I don't think you can avoid these 2 fixtures. I think they're too good. Crystal Palace and Fulham, and then West Brom after that if you want to play them one more week. I think those are great fixtures. Crystal Palace likely without Zaha, then obviously Fulham isn't bad as well. So 2 great chances of clean sheets. And not much attacking threat, but it is what it is. I quite like them. So, yeah. Stones or Loughton? A question from a while back. I think I would go overall. I like Stones more because it's Man City defense, and you can trust them longer term. They also have 2 games in hand. And Tottenham and Everton, I could see Man City keeping clean sheets in both of these games. I think I would go Stones if I had to choose between the 2. hopefully we don't see any crazy rotation like we did that one time where Stones and Cancelo were both just benched or not in the squad or whatever the case was. They didn't play, and that's all that matters from an FPL perspective. So I don't, man, it sucks. I don't think it really fits my team to go for a a Kane plan. Sorry, I think Son fits the team a little better, as much as I like Kane as an option. So if I go Antonio to Watkins, again, this looks like a Game Week 26 move. 25, they don't double and they play Leicester, so I could just wait another week and bench Watkins. So I think Watkins in for 26 looks good. If you're gonna make a move now, though, you would probably want to go Ings, or for 25 at least Ings. But if you can wait, go Watkins, I would say. But maybe even Watkins earlier, who knows? And then Sufal to Dallas. I don't know. So who would I personally play next week? What will my starting lineup look like next week? So I can play Stones and Cancelo. Obviously, they can play every week. But would I want to? Arsenal? I could bench one. I could play Cancelo. Loughton plays West Brom. They play Leicester. I'd probably, I don't have the best defensive matchups for next week, so I think I will end up doing Sufal to Dallas, and then I could play Cancelo, Dallas, and Loughton, and that's my three at the back. And then midfield, probably bench Grealish and then play the other four: Salah, Gundogan, Bruno, and Rashford. I think Grealish versus Gundogan would be an interesting matchup. But again, I haven't been a huge fan of Grealish's recent performances. So yeah, wait, what are Liverpool looking like? Oh yeah, Liverpool double in 26. I completely missed that. That could be triple captaincy material as well. I still think Kane's the favorite, but we'll see. For now, I'm not too unhappy with Mr. Salah. So yeah, I think benching Grealish or Gundogan and then playing. Oh no, I could play both and then bench. I could bench Antonio. Yeah, I think that's what I would probably do. Grealish over Antonio. That's debatable, but either way, the team isn't too terrible. And I could play Calvert-Lewin. But if I have two free transfers, I could also just. I need to find a way to bench him. I guess I could play both Man City defenders. Or I could play Calvert-Lewin against Liverpool. That's not terrible. But the fixtures aren't looking amazing for next week. I could consider free hitting as well, right? It's kind of high upside. I could bring in Ings, Adams, Bamford, right? And then my other Southampton player would be, I don't know, probably a defender, maybe the goalkeeper, whoever they play. It would probably end up being a defender. I know there's Ward-Prowse, but I don't want to do that to myself. And then I could go Dallas, and there's plenty of other Leeds options. Ayling or Rafinha or Harrison. Maybe I just triple up on both attacks and I go. I triple up on Leeds attack maybe. Free hitting next week, you don't get a bunch of doubles out of it, right? But if you're really improving on other parts of your team, it could be an option, I suppose, right? Man City play Arsenal. You could get rid of them if you think Arsenal are going to do something in that game. Get Cavani maybe if you don't have Bamford, Ings, and Adams. Potential there. I don't think it's the worst free hit, but I don't see, other than the doubles, I'm not sure what you really attack. Considering that so you want Ings and Bamford at least, right? And then it doesn't give you a spot for Kane, and you could throw Kane in there against West Ham. You could triple up on Spurs, triple up on Leeds, triple up on Southampton. That's kind of attacking. Triple up on Manchester United. I don't feel like it's that bad. I feel like it's manageable, but it's still kind of a single game week, considering there's really only the one double. So not a huge fan of it, but there's some points there to be gained for sure. I think I would save it personally. Honestly, the simplest move for me would probably be Antonio and Sufal out. Antonio and Sufal out next week, and then bringing Dallas and Ings in just to get the doubles right away, and then go from there. And if I have to, I could just sell Ings in the future. But you would assume at some point Ings starts scoring, like just in that quantity of fixtures he's going to have. And they're not terrible ones. Chelsea isn't good, though. I don't know. I'm not too sold on anything yet. So then, but if I did that, so I could play Lowton, Sufal, not Lowton, Dallas, and Cancelo. Then maybe Stones, and I could play Salah, Gundogan, Bruno, Rashford. I still want to bench Calvert-Lewin. It would be okay. I mean, the team wouldn't be amazing. I feel like it'd be fine. Grealish out is something I'm interested in. Rashford to Son is going to happen at some point, is what I was going to say before I got sidetracked with my detailed plans of what I'm going to do with my team without even giving a graphic for it. But yeah, Son in for game week 25. Son in for game week 25. Yeah, or 26. I mean, whenever you can get around to it. I think for 26, it'll be easier for a lot of people. But if you're a Rashford owner, I think that looks good. But there are a lot of decent ways to get in some of these double game week players, I think. So right away, bring in Bamford for 25 if you don't have him. Antonio to Bamford makes the most sense. Sufal or any of those cheap defenders, especially the West Ham players, because they don't really have the doubles. So Sufal to Dallas looks like a great move for game week 25. 26, you got, if you have Rashford, I think that's a good time to sell Rashford to Son. Maybe, if you're going to sell now, then you sell Calvert-Lewin. The issue this week is that it would just be a tough decision of who to bring in. I feel like I'm not sure what I would do there. But in the future, Calvert-Lewin could get some points. If you can manage him on your bench for the next, I would say probably 2 game weeks. So game week 24, 25. Then you get him for a double in game week 26 against Southampton, then Aston Villa or West Brom, which is very likely. Ben Creelan rates that as a 95 to 99% chance of happening. So I would expect it to happen, and that looks like some great fixtures there. And then they also have a chance of some double game weeks right after that. So I think I'm going to try to find a way to keep him and see what happens there. But for now, no transfers for me. But yeah, so Leeds attack, which is Bamford. But all Leeds attackers for game week 25 look good, including Dallas. I would throw him in as an attacker, to be honest. Selling West Ham in the future looks good. Selling United, besides Bruno, after 25, I would say. Or after their double in 26, sorry. Because they play Man City the week after that, and then West Ham, and then likely blank. I think selling United after their double in 26 makes a lot of sense. That's something I may do. They do double that week. I still may sell Rashford going into that week, even though they double. I don't know if I could actually do that, though. I want a way to bring a Tottenham player in, preferably Kane. How would I bring Kane in? I mean, besides downgrading Rashford, if I want him for the double, right, and then I sell him. I forgot United had a double then. The issue is, like I said, getting rid of Calvert-Lewin. By the time I get rid of him, he'll be fine. I think I'm going to not be aggressive and not try to force this transfer in. I think I'm just going to see what happens. I mean, it's just not really going to work. I'm okay with the way my team's set up at the moment. It's not terrible. I feel like all the players are decent enough where they can score points. So, let's look at, I want to do one thing. We should probably talk about captaincy. Yeah, I'll do captaincy, and then we'll save it all for the deadline stream tomorrow. So, as far as captaincy goes, look at the fixtures. We have Tottenham and Everton. Now they haven't, these aren't great matchups, and I don't really love any of the captaincy options. Again, I feel like I'm saying that, but it is what it is. I don't love any of them. Let's go to expected goals against over the course of the season. Tottenham are pretty much mid-table, and then Everton they're right there with a mid-table. So two fairly average matchups for Gundogan, a player who could be harmed by the tactics of his team depending on his positioning. So not ideal, potentially not on penalties. I would expect him to not take them, but we also don't know who's going to be on the field. KDB isn't fit yet, so we know that. But yeah, he does have 2 games, and that's a big deal. That's almost a guaranteed. I would say a guaranteed 5 points. You would assume they keep a clean sheet in at least one of the games based on how well they've been defending recently. So 5 points at least is very likely. And then if he just picks up 1 return, all of a sudden, 8-pointer. That's, you can't go too wrong with captaining Gundogan because he has the double game week. If Bruno had a double game week, he would obviously be the captain. West Brom is a fantastic matchup. If we look at from an expected goals point of view, we can see that West Brom have given up 45 expected goals over the course of the season. And combining Tottenham and Everton's gives us what? That's like 43. No, that's over 50. I can't do math. So if we look at it simply like that, Gundogan wins in terms of the overall fixture expected goals against. And it's like by 7 over the course of the season. So it's not too far apart, right? That's like the difference of playing West Brom and playing Fulham. Or not, it's less than that, but you get the point. So it's not, captaining Bruno isn't completely out of the picture. Like I don't think that's the worst move ever. Obviously, West Brom just not good enough to play Manchester United. I think that's a game that could easily be pretty high scoring. We saw Spurs score 2 against them, which is kind of a lot for Spurs nowadays. Not the best at killing teams to death. And we just saw United score 3 against Everton in a game where they couldn't defend. And before that, they scored 9. But does that game really count? But yeah, I like the look of Bruno this week. I would not captain Grealish. It may look good on paper, but I just don't think he has the goal threat recently. I guess Bamford's not too far away, but I'm always going to captain a double over most of these guys. Oh, Nick Pope should be fine, by the way. So I guess he's still a captaincy option. I mean, Lowton he's up there, right? 2 decent games with decent clean sheet potential. I don't think I could do it personally. I'm just trying to picture how the Man City Tottenham game or the Man City Everton game would go. And I feel like in the Everton game, there's a decent chance that Man City really take control and do well. But I think it's the simplest play to go with Man City's most nailed-on player, who's been playing well recently. Like we can look past everything else. Like we could say, oh, he's potentially off penalties, tough matchups. They have injuries. He could be in a different position. But I think the most important thing is the fact that he's been playing so well recently and getting attacking. I think that makes him likely to keep playing an attacking role, right? That's just my opinion. So with that said, I think in one of these games, at least, there's a decent chance that he finds a way to get some points because of how well he's been playing. His finishing's been very well, and he's been getting in great positions. The last 2 goals were tap-ins because that's how far he gets into the box from midfield. So even if there is a slight adjustment to his position, I think we're looking at him still taking shots from outside the box and not being like, I don't know, who's the deepest lying defensive mid we can think of. Probably Dale Stevens. He's not going to be like that. So I think Gundogan's the safest choice. It makes the most sense. If you're worried that, everybody's doing it in FPL, he's still only 28.2% owned. So it's not crazy. It's not like Salah is typically. Like some seasons, he's 60% owned, and then everybody captains him. More people own Salah, more people own Bamford, more people own Bruno, I think. Yeah, much more people. So he's not. More people own Grealish by a long shot. More people own, pretty similar to Cancelo and Stones, but not more. But yeah, it's not. if that's what it shouldn't put you off anyway. But if it was, I don't think it's crazy safe. But I think it's the best option if you're trying to get at least 5 points. And at this point, that's what I will take. But of course, he's shown his high upside as well. So yes, those are probably in general how my current thoughts stand. There's a lot more left to go, like in terms of how we rate the double game weeks, right? Like who knows who, like if a game has 2 bad games in a row and then they're going into double game week 26, like all of a sudden our whole picture is going to change. And that could be the case with Grealish, for example. Like, I'm not sold on him at the moment. I'm thinking, oh, he's not a great option, decent fixture, okay, I'll play him, right? But then all of a sudden, if he does well against Brighton and Leicester, which is very possible, then he goes into double game week 26, and he plays against Leeds, and then let's give him the worst matchup, Leeds and Everton. That looks great. He's almost captaincy option if there weren't better options out there. So a lot of things can still change. 2 game weeks, there's still times for injuries and stuff, and I think that's why I'm going to save my transfer and simply let my team do what it do at the moment. I could make a crazy benching decision and do something weird like benching Antonio, but I think I'm just going to play my best players, leave my cheapest players on the bench, and hope for the best. So yes, I will leave it there for now. I was going to just replace my usual video with the stream and do it that way. But I wanted to talk about, who are good options for 24, 25, 26. What am I looking at doing personally? I feel like a lot of people have similar players to me in a lot of cases, such as Calvert-Lewin, Antonio, Bamford. Not really Rashford, but yeah, Rashford out is going to hopefully provide me some points when I'm finally able to get rid of him. He's kind of underperforming, but again, there's not a great time to get rid of him until really after the double game week. At first, I started this stream, I was like, I'll sell him before game week 26, but that double doesn't look too bad. I just want Son or Kane in that week, and I don't think it's going to happen. The one thing I could do, I suppose, is sell Rashford and go down to like because I wouldn't sell him before Newcastle, right? So I'd have to sell him right before this double game week, and I would have to get somebody much cheaper, and that would allow me to bring in Kane and then triple captain Kane. And that would be the one way I would go with that, I think, if I was to sell Rashford. I mean, maybe triple captaining Son, maybe that would be, if I think he's a good enough option where I really want to triple captain him, that could provide the motivation for me to sell Rashford before Chelsea and Crystal Palace. And the Chelsea match could be pretty, it could be looking very tough at the time. So who knows? And Chelsea have a double. I haven't mentioned them. It's against United and Liverpool though, and there's still a lot of rotation risks there. I think there's potentially some great options in there, but it's just gonna be a while until they become legit options. I feel like with all these teams having doubles at the moment. So unfortunately, it is what it is with regards to them. Simply don't have the quantity of fixtures. But yes, I will go ahead and stop there. I will see you guys in about 12 hours if you join the deadline stream tomorrow. So yeah, thank you guys for joining me today. I will be answering more questions tomorrow. I wasn't really looking at my chat too much today, but I got to some of them. And hopefully you guys have a good game week, just not as good as mine. And I will see you next time.